Hi, this is Misha, and you just saw us putting the first rounds today through a Preban 80s import FN FNC. And we've got an older blog article on this gun, but we haven't actually done a range day with one before, and that was a good day for it. It feels like it's May out here, but it's actually February. But the FNC is essentially what FN used to replace the FAL, and it was chambered for the 5.56 223 NATO cartridge, and it's really a further takeoff of the FN CAL, the FN Cal. The FN Cal came out in 1966 and was essentially their first gun to be chambered for the small caliber, and it was a complete flop. It had a lot of... It was expensive to make, it took proprietary mags, it was hard to disassemble, and it just it had some good features, but it didn't work out too well. So FN rushed the FNC into production, which I believe the nomenclature actually stands for a new rifle carbine or something like that. It's not supposed to be a Fabrique Nationale carbine, it's something else, but anyway. But they rushed these through production through the 70s, 74, 75. They were actually in the early NATO trials of 1976, but didn't get very far because they were still a very early prototype. But really in the 80s is when the FNC came into its maturity. And it was really thanks to Sweden. They put this gun through a very long series of trials from 1980 through 1984, and each time they would have a series of trials, FN would improve it and send another version over. So after about 4 rounds of trials, the gun really was perfected. So Sweden would adopt it as the AK5, and then in 1990, Belgium itself would adopt it as the M2 with the longer barrel, or the M3, which is a paratrooper like I'm holding here. Really today this is a pretty conventional gun. It is a long stroke piston with a 2-lug rotating bolt. The internals look a heck of a lot like an AK, or for that matter a Daewoo K2. The paratrooper version has a 16-inch barrel. We have a short flash hider device on here, 360-degree rotating sling swivel. It has flip-up grenade sights, but since it's the Carbine version, these were never set up to launch grenades. The handguards are actually very comfortable. They're a polymer and metal blend, and they come off the weapon very easily too. The upper receiver is made from stamped and welded steel. The lower receiver is actually machined alloy, lightweight. You can mount a proprietary scope rail on top of the receiver. Otherwise, the sights are very similar to those on the FN FAL paratrooper. Has a 2-position flip aperture, which is windage adjustable. Also, the stock on here is very similar to the FAL paratrooper. There's a latch you have to press, and then you can fold down and fold it over. Fold it, it's pretty compact. Fold it back, you have to press the latch again. I'm trying to do this on camera. There we go. The pistol grip is pretty much straight off the FAL. It even still stores a small cleaning kit in the bottom. The trigger group is again very similar to the FAL. It has a long but consistent pull, at least mine does. The selector, FAL style again. And finally, the magazines are, this will feed from AR mags, but the actual factory FN mags are a little different. They're made of steel, and there isn't a last round hold open device on this gun, so the magazines don't have a last round hold open trip. The final feature is this really creative dust cover, which up until recently would be very foreign to a lot of you. But for those into the newer guns, you'll notice a very, very similar style of dust cover is now on the IWI Galil Ace. So they kind of copied that. All in all, it's a very reliable gun, very soft shooting. On the other hand, it is heavy, and while it is battlefield accurate, it's not going to be a 1 MOA tack driver. It's a typical military style gun, so accuracy was acceptable, if not superb. And that's really about it. It was used by Belgium, Sweden, and Indonesia. Each country actually produced its own version. It was the Pindad SS10 in Indonesia. Again, it was the AK5 in Sweden. There was 4 variants, the AK5A, B, C, and D. The C being the newer version, modernized, and the D being a compact version. And that's really about where the FNC ends. Some of this did carry over to FN's newer versions of the SCAR, but for the most part, this is kind of a take on the FAL, but in 223. And today, these are pre-banned, and they never imported a version after that 1989 ban. One interesting point about the pre-ban guns, it's common wisdom that 6,000 came in, and I'm not arguing with that, but the numbers don't add up to me. The numbers tend to say that, okay, Halco imported 1,000 paratroopers, and then only 1,000 fixed stock models came in through Gun South. The problem is, in the last 2 weeks, I've seen 4 fixed stocks on Gunbroker, and they seem to be very common. If nothing else, I think more fixed stocks came in than people are aware of, or people took paras and converted them. I'm not sure, but the numbers don't quite seem right, and before doing this video, I tried to research where these numbers came from, and there's really no source. So when you hear the import numbers about the FNC, take them with a grain of salt, because there's not really anything to substantiate them. But anyway, we just thought we'd bring a relatively rare, unusual pre-ban gun out today and show you. It's definitely a nice thing to shoot. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention, it does have an adjustable gas system. We have, this is standard here, and if you need to go to adverse, which is what FN calls it, flick it over here and you'll get more gas. So that's kind of nice. I'm sure that was helped in Sweden for the deep cold. Yeah, kind of very 80s style gun. Well, if you have any questions, please post them below. And as always, we really appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you next time.